current when it serves. Heroes of the summer storm. We have fought Marsh Bregisland, pushing back the Jotun. Now we go a step further. We will push into Skallan on a steady conquest, taking their ground like they attempted to take ours. We will free the thralls, showing the Jotun exactly who we are and what the Imperial Orc stand for. Fight with courage and pride. Fight with loyalty and with vigilance. Styx, General of the Summer Storm. Bloodcloaks, the season of the sword is upon us. Call up the banners, raise up your fellows. We march for Skallan to take the Western War into the lands of our worthy foe. Every step we take draws our foe from Imperial lands like poison from a wound. Let us show every Jotun that the West is ours, that they have no place in it unless it is as a willing part of our empire. Lofin Bloodcloak, General of the Bloodcloaks. Heroes of the Green Shield, hail to thee. The West has beset battle across bloody fields, war and ruin, wrath running wild. In this fight our skeins are forged, from mud and blood to shining steel, a spear to strike our greatest foe. Following the footsteps of Guntherm, we will walk the road to Kirheim as heroes. Fire of virtue, walk with me. Iron Osric, General of the Green Shield. From the Gathering Place. In the weeks following the spring equinox, more than 15,000 Imperial soldiers gather at the fortress of Kalant in Stark. The Bloodcloaks and the Green Shield of Wintermark are joined by the relentless Imperial Orc warriors of the Summer Storm. The fort was raised for the Jarl of Kirheim, which makes it perhaps appropriate that the armies gather here. Under the watchful eyes of statues representing Ralyost and Skaldir, plans are finalised for the coming offensive. The Imperial strategy is founded on maps created by Imperial scouts, tempered by the powerful enchantments laid on all three armies that help them plan with supernatural clarity, and finalised with first-hand experience of Imperial captains who took part in the triumphant autumn raid last year. Once the plan is finalised, the three armies cross the western border into the wealthy territory of Skallan, marching in the footsteps of Emperor Guntherm, ready to face the Jotun on their home ground for the first time in a generation. Into Greenwall. The wide plains of Greenwall stretch across the southern coast of Kalisa, home to great herds of lowland cattle and upland sheep. Farms are common here, with handfuls of small crofts scattered hither and yon, and there are a few scattered settlements along the coast dedicated to harvesting the bounty of the gullet. The majority of the population here are thralls. They are almost exclusively orcs, but with small numbers of human families here and there, mostly descended from winterfolk or marcher ancestors. When they encounter Imperial soldiers, they react in one of two ways. Those who can flee north or west, taking whatever they can carry with them. Those unable, for whatever reason, to get away, immediately surrender. Human and orc alike are almost exclusively terrified of the Imperials. Only those thralls taken from Semasuak during the recent occupation show any enthusiasm for being liberated. Within hours of crossing the border, the Empire encounters the first Jotun, however, and they react in a very different way. The first garrisons to spot the army's light wooden beacons, tall towers of seasoned pinewood that send pillars of black smoke up into the sky. They then immediately retreat, avoiding direct confrontation with the invading force as much as possible. It's very unlikely that 15,000 soldiers could have invaded Skallan without notice, even without the presence of another 10,000 or more warriors fighting beneath the banners of freelance captains. Yet there was a little hope that it might take a day or two before the Jotun were aware of their presence and direction. This hope is dashed. It is clear that in the wake of the autumn raid and the retreat from Semasuak, the Western Orcs have been preparing for an invasion, and part of that preparation involves a reliable early warning system. 2 days after the invasion begins, the armies begin to encounter some resistance. The first to respond are Jotun warriors under the banners of Jarl Aesborn Dalgard, the ruler of Greenwall. They are joined by orcs from the garrisons of the fortress at Kirheim and the Ulfsborg, but they are barely prepared to deal with an invasion of such scale. The Green Shield are at the forefront of every engagement, never passing up a chance to engage the defenders, and in each fight they emerge triumphant. They continue the Wintermark tradition of facing the Jotun on their own terms, fighting as heroes rather than killers. They are here to conquer, but they fight as equals with honour, and the Jotun cannot fail to recognise and respect that. While the fighting is occasionally fierce, both sides offer and accept quarter, meaning fewer deaths and more land conquered. The Bloodcloaks, too, fight as heroes, but they take it even further. Their soldiers and heroes make an effort to fight honourably, and are at pains to make sure that the other Imperials who fight alongside them do the same. There is no slaughter of enemy troops, no wanton plundering, no strategies intended to psychologically torment the enemy. They ensure everyone stays on the same path, the path of honour. They need not worry about the Imperial Orcs. The Summer Storm is here to liberate the Thralls and to fight with courage and pride. They maintain a steady pace, securing the lands the Winterfolk move across, ensuring their healers and physics are on hand to preserve Imperial lives and even occasionally offer succour to the Thralls caught in the fighting. Many among their number can hear the voice of Shoffen of the Bitten Blade, the Jarl ancestor to whom they possess a peculiar link. By all accounts, she does not seem to care that they are fighting her own descendants, her fellow Jotun, still urging the Orcs to fight heroically, gloriously, and without regret if they clash time and time again with the Western Orcs. As with the Winterfolk, the Jotun must be aware that they are intentionally fighting in a way that reduces wanton slaughter. For their part, the Jotun are outmatched and overwhelmed, and most of the time they fight only to cover the retreat of the Thralls fleeing before the advancing Imperial armies. When they retreat, they leave wounded Imperials behind them, either in response to the heroism of the invaders, or because they need to be able to move quickly to outpace the Imperial advance. In a little over a month, Greenwall has fallen. Jarl Dalgard and their warriors are forced to flee to their northern hall, retreating towards Bjarki to regroup. To Iron Stand. Securing the Jarl's Hall, the Imperial advance does not pause. They press straight into the Iron Stand, into the lands overseen by Jarl Ebb of Overgard. Now they are truly walking in the footsteps of Emperor Guntherm. The Jarl's Hall stands in a small town surrounding the ruins of the Iron Banner, the fortification built a century and a half ago and lost to the Jotun when the Empire was forced to withdraw from Skallan. Here again, the majority of the population are thralls, eager to flee from their would-be liberators, just as the grand herds of muskox and caribou do. Jarl Ebb fights with the same ferocious zeal that their cousin to the south showed, but with equal lack of success. Even backed by the garrisons from the western forts, the Jotun are unable to hold the Imperial assault, merely slow it. Now the Jotun have had more time to prepare, the going becomes more difficult. The Orcs know the plains better than the Imperials, and while the terrain is mostly open and flat, there are still places that can be defended. As the summer solstice draws near, with half the region still in the hands of the Orcs, rumours begin to spread among the Imperial troops. Scouts report scattered aid being sent south by the Jarls of Tromsø, and of Orc forces crossing Konigor from Hordaland. The Empire has taken the Jotun by surprise, but now they know that this is no simple raid. They are in no doubt coming to protect Skallan, and to face the Empire's armies in glorious battle. As the Colossus rouses. There is one other matter. It's well known that the Orcs of Skallan have some sort of favourable relationship with the Forge Mistress of the Fire Mountain. Her heralds have fought in the defence of the territory, and she is believed to serve as patron of the mighty Steelweaver's Crucible, far to the northwest. Jotun warriors have always made great use of rune-bound weapons and armour, but even for the Western Orcs, the defenders of Skallan seem especially well equipped. So far, none of the actual servants of the Forge Mistress have been seen on the battlefield, but it looks very much as if that might be about to change, and change potentially catastrophically. Last winter, news reached the Military Council of efforts to establish some kind of structure in eastern Scallan with the aid of Estivus. Protected by the warband of Isa Winterborn, and under the auspices of the powerful herald known as Blade Quencher, their building efforts were completed without incident. At first, there was some concern about what the presence of a place given over to the Prince of Shikal might mean, but in the months since, nothing seems to have happened. Imperial Orc scouts visited the area and found a metal structure similar to a cross between a forge and a great hall, protected by bronze warriors and heralds. The supernatural creatures did not attack, and since no orders were given regarding the forge, a decision was ultimately taken not to risk the unknown quantity by attacking the emissaries of the Autumn Realm. A little less than a week before the summer solstice, with the bulk of the Empire's armies engaged in Iron Stand, the observers left behind to keep an eye on Blade Quencher's hall sent out a desperate message to the Imperial commanders. The hall was moving, and it looked like things might be about to go very wrong indeed. According to the witnesses, the hall itself seemed to expand, doubling in size over the course of a few hours, then again until it resembled a small castle rather than a simple forge. Worse, warriors began to emerge from inside. Heavily armoured creatures of the realm with metal skin and burning eyes, wielding great hammers, Minotaur myrmidons wrapped in blood-gold armour with two-handed axes, smaller creatures with metal and stoneworking tools and heavy packs laden down with weapons, and more. Many more than could possibly have been contained within the hall before it began to expand. They moved with clockwork precision to attack Imperial forces remaining behind, quickly overwhelming them and forcing them to retreat. The last few scouts suggest the speed with which they are emerging from Blade Quencher's hall has slowed, but there will soon be several thousand of them, and it is clear they are no friends of the Empire. Indeed, some of the Jotun warbands routed by Imperial forces are rallying at the hall, welcomed by the Autumn warriors. The armies in Iron Stand are in no immediate danger. The northern region borders Semasuak, and there are clear lines of reinforcement, support and retreat as needed. But if Blade Quencher's hall is allowed to complete its transformation, there is every chance that some of the gains made in Scallan will be lost, costing the Empire the beachhead they have established here and offering who knows what level of support to Jotun armies that are clearly on their way. Game information. The Empire has claimed the region of Greenwall and is halfway towards conquering Iron Stand. Battle opportunity. The activation of Blade Quencher's hall presents a serious threat that some of the gains made in Scallan may be lost. However, the prognosticators have identified a conjunction of the Sentinel Gate that would allow Imperial heroes to intervene, should the Military Council wish to do so. Conjunctions. Watchers and Hunters. Blayrunning Hall have asked for help in recovering the shield of Blayrung, the Bright Lantern. The Sentinel Gate will open at 3 o'clock on Saturday to Kevin's Holt, Iron Stand, Scallan. The Watcher of Britta's Pool is responsible for recovering the shield and passing it to a host of Sulcavaris. As the Imperial armies push into Scallan, there is an opportunity to claim items of worth lost during the failed invasion of Emperor Guntherm. The shield used by Blayrung the Bright Lantern was lost during the Jotun's final push to conquer the Iron Banner fortification in Iron Stand. Though the rest of her personal effects were recovered and placed in the marches of Calavesa, the shield was never recovered. Since then, it has been in the hands of one of the Godi, used in the training of aspiring Skaldir, and Blayrunning Hall have asked for the help of the Watcher of Britta's Pool in returning it. If the shield is recovered and passed to one of the hosts of Sulcavaris, then it can be delivered to the marshes to rest alongside the body of Blayrung. Blayrunning Hall are not asking for this to be done for free. If the Watcher of Britta's Pool is able to accomplish this task, then they will commit to providing the Watcher with a gift every season. A dragon bone symbol each spring equinox, a pair of green steel bracelets every summer solstice, a bond ring every autumn equinox, and an alderman's edge every winter solstice, with the expectation that the Watcher of Britter's Pool would gift them to whoever they deemed worthy. The band accompanying the Godi is made up of a combined force of Ralyost, Ulvenwar and Skaldir. Given that this is a direct request to the Watcher of Britter's Pool, it is the responsibility of the incumbent, Rafe, to recover the shield and pass it on to one of the hosts of Sulcavaris. The Last Village. Jarl Aesborn Dalgard has called on the Third of Greenwall. The Sentinel Gate will open at 3:30 on Saturday to Pager's Rest, Bjarki, Skallan. The General of the Summer Storm is responsible for stopping the Jarl of Greenwall. Aesborn Dalgard, Jarl of Greenwall, though forced to retreat west to Bjarki, still has loyal Jotun in Greenwall, organising their warriors and maintaining a presence that will continue to cause problems for the Imperial armies that stay in the territory. Jarl Aesborn has sent forth the call of the Third to the Jotun remaining in Greenwall, and is waiting to meet with them at Pager's Rest. Steelborn Capac, a soldier of the Summer Storm, was able to intercept the call of the Third while in one of the scattered fishing hamlets along the coast of the Gullet. If Jarl Aesborn Dalgard and their warriors are not killed, then the Third of Greenwall will form, providing an additional 500 strength to the Jotun in the territory. Aesborn Dalgard's band is made up of a combined force of Ralyost, Ulvenwar and Skaldir. Given that the information came from a soldier of the Summer Storm, it is the responsibility of whoever is elected to be the general to stop Aesborn Dalgard and interrupt the calling of the Third. Thirds. Each region in a Jotun territory generates a third when it is conquered by the Empire. As the Jarl and their warriors are forced to retreat from their lands, they form up into a third, a warband with a military strength of 500. A third is unable to act independently of fortifications or armies. A third is unable to act independently of fortifications or armies in the territory. It will only act to support a Jotun army in the territory or a fortification if there are no armies present. A region's third can be dismantled by killing the Jarl or through other opportunities.